Hello, let's start our book, a great book, The Magic of Thinking Big. Now, actually, in this modern time, belief is doing much bigger things than moving mountains. The most essential element, in fact, the essential element in our space exploration today is belief that space can be mastered. Without firm, unwavering belief that man can travel in space, our scientists would not have the courage, interest, and enthusiasm to proceed. Believe that cancer can be cured will ultimately produce cure for cancers. Currently, there is some talk of building a tunnel under the English Channel to connect England with the continental. Whether this tunnel is ever built depends on whether responsible people believe it can be built. Belief in great results is the driving force, the power behind all great books, plays, scientific discoveries. Belief in success is behind every successful businesses, church and political organization. Belief in success is the one basic, absolutely essential ingredient of successful people. Really believe you can succeed and you will. Over the years, I have talked with many people who have failed in business ventures and in various careers. I've heard a lot of reasons, excuses for failure. Something especially significant unfolds as conversation with failures develop. In a casual sort of way, the failure drops some remark like, to tell the truth, I didn't think it would work, or I had my misgivings before I even started out, or actually, I was not too surprised that it didn't work out. The okay, I'll give it a try, but I don't think it will work attitude produces failures. Disbelief is negative power. When the mind disbelieves or doubts, the mind attracts reasons to support the disbelief. Doubt, disbelief, the subconscious will to fail, the not really wanting to succeed, is responsible for most failures. Think doubt and fail. Think victory and succeed. A young fiction writer talked with me recently about her writing ambitions. The name of one of the top writers in her field came up. Oh, she said, Mr. X is a wonderful writer, but of course, I can't be nearly as successful as he is. Her attitude disappointed me very much because I know the writer mentioned. He is not super intelligent, nor super perspective, not super anything else except super confident. He believes that he is amongst the best, and so he acts and performs the best. It is well to respect the leader. Learn from him, observe him, study him, but don't worship him. Believe you can surpass. Believe you can go beyond. Those who harbor the second best attitude are invariably second best doers. Look at this belief. Belief is the thermostat that regulates what we accomplish in life. Study the fellow who is shuffling down there in a mediocrity. He believes he is worth little, so he receives little. He believes he can't do big things, and he doesn't. He believes he is unimportant, so everything he does has an unimportant mark. As time goes by, lack of belief in himself shows through in the way of fellow talks, walks, acts. Unless they readjust his thermostat forward, he shrinks, grows smaller and smaller in his own estimation. And since others see it in us what we see in ourselves, he grows smaller in the estimation of the people around him. Now look across the way at the person who is advancing forward. He believes he is worth much and he receives much. He believes he can handle big, difficult assignments, and he does. Everything he does, the way he handles himself with people, his character, his thoughts, his viewpoints, all say he is a professional. He is an important person. A person is a product of his own thoughts. Believe big, adjust your thermostat forward. Launch your success offensive with honest, sincere belief that you can succeed. Believe big and grow big. Several years ago, after addressing a group of businessmen in Detroit, I talked with one of the gentlemen who approached me, introduced himself and said, I really enjoyed your talk. Can you spare a few minutes? I'd like very much to discuss personal experience with you. In a few minutes, we were comfortably seated in a coffee shop, waiting for some refreshments. I have a personal experience, he began, that ties in perfectly with what you said this evening about making your mind work for you instead of letting it work against you. I've never explained to anyone how I lifted myself out of the world of mediocrity, but I'd like to tell you about it. And I'd like to hear it, I said. Well, just 5 years ago, I was plodding along, just another guy working in the tool and die trade. I made a decent living by average standards, but it was far from ideal. Our home was much too small and there was no money for those many things we wanted. My wife, bless her, did not complain much, but it was written all over her that she was more resigned to her fate than she was happy. Inside, I grew more and more dissatisfied. When I let myself see how I'm failing my good wife and 2 children, I really hurt inside. But today things are really different, my friend continued. Today we have a beautiful new home on a 2-acre lot and a year-round cabin couple 100 miles north of here. There's no more worry about whether we can send the kids to good college, and my wife no longer had to feel guilty every time she spent money for some new clothes. Next summer, the whole family is flying to Europe, spend months holiday. We are really living. How did this happen? I asked. It all happened, he continued. When to use the phrase used tonight. I harnessed the power of belief. 5 years ago, I learned about a job with a tool die-in company here in Detroit. we were living in the Cleveland at that time. I decided to look into it, hoping I could make a little more money. I got here early in the Sunday evening, but the interview was not until Monday. After dinner, I sat down in my hotel room, and for some reasons, I got really disgusted with myself. Why, I asked myself, I am just middle class failure. Why I'm trying to get a job represents such a small step forward. I don't know to this day what prompted me to do it. But I took a sheet of hotel stationery, wrote down the names of 5 people I have known well for several years who had far surpassed me in the earning power and job responsibility. 2 were former neighbors who had moved away to find the subdivisions. 2 other were fellows I have worked for, and the 3rd was brother-in-law. Next, again, I don't know what made me do this. I asked myself, what do my 5 friends have that I don't have? Besides better jobs, I compared myself with them on intelligence, but I honestly couldn't see that they excelled in the brain department, nor could I truthfully say they had me beat on education, integrity, and personal habits. Finally, I got down to another success quality one hears a lot about: initiative. Here I hated to admit it, but I had to. On this point, my record showed I was far below that of my successful friends. It was not 3 a.m., but my mind was astonishingly clear. I was seeing my weak point for the first time. I discovered that I had held back. I had always carried a little stick. I dug into myself deeper and deeper and found the reason I lacked initiative was because I did not believe inside that I was worthy very much. I sat there the rest of the night just reviewing how lack of faith in myself had dominated me ever since I could remember. How I could use my mind to work against myself. I found I had been preaching to myself why I couldn't get ahead instead of why I could. I had been selling myself short. I found this streak of self-depreciation showed through in everything I did. Then it dawned on me that no one else was going to believe in me until I believed in myself. Right then I decided, I am through feeling second class. From here on I am not going to sell myself short. Next morning I still had that confidence. During the job interview, I gave my newfound confidence its first test. Before coming for the interview, I hoped I would have courage to ask for $750 or maybe even $1,000 more than my present job was paying. But now, after realizing I was a valuable man, I upped to $3,500, and I got it. I sold myself because after that one long night of self analysis, I found things in myself that made me a lot more sellable. Within 2 years after I took that job, I had established a reputation as fellow who can get business. Then we went into a recession. This made me still more valuable because I was one of the best business getters in the industry. The company was reorganized and I was given a substantial amount of stock plus a lot of money. Believe in yourself and good things do start happening. Your mind is thought factory. It's a busy factory producing countless thoughts in a one day. Production in your thoughts factory is under the charge of two foremen, one of whom we call Mr. Triumph, another called Mr. Defeat. Mr. Triumph is charge of manufacturing positive thoughts. He specializes in the producing reasons why you can, why you are qualified, why you will. The other foreman, the Mr. Defeat, produces negative depreciating thoughts. He is your expert in developing reasons why you can't, why you weak, why you are inadequate. His specialty is the why you will fail chain of thoughts.